He's going to the top. If he hits him with the elbow, it's over.
Macho Man poised in his favorite position, bombs away.
So this week, we're going to change gears again and steer towards the golden era of WWF.
Yes.
And we're going to focus on 3 matches here. Glenn, can you first explain to us what the golden era is?
Okay, so the golden era is a period of time with what is now called the WWE, which was formerly the WWF. It spans from 1980 through 1993. 1993 is when they started having the new generation. That's when you saw, Hart and Yokozuna and these younger guys making a name for themselves. WWF started pushing out the older guys, put Savage on the commentary booth, and just started doing things differently in 93.
What match are we going to start off with first?
Well, first of all, let's talk about what we're not going to talk about.
Okay, what are we not going to talk about?
We're not going to talk about Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3.
And why is that?
Because the match was not good.
So many people just clicked off this video.
Okay, first of all, Andre the Giant was way past his prime at this point. No fault of his own. He had health issues and stuff like that. In his early career, he could do drop kicks and stuff. A lot of people don't realize that, especially the people who only saw his later stuff when the WWF became huge and boomed and everything else. And this was an overall wrestling boom period, not just for the WWF, but, you had Jim Crockett and all this other stuff that was coming along. AWA died during this period. Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, it was a historic match, and I know that the WWF likes to replay the body slam, but Hogan was technically not the first person to body slam Andre the Giant. Even Kamala body slammed Andre the Giant before, okay? Also, it's technically not true that Andre hadn't lost a match in 15 years. I don't think he was pinned in 15 years, but he did lose matches through other means. So that technically wasn't true. So there was a lot of things that were used to hype up that WrestleMania 3 match. It just wasn't good.
So what match are we going to talk about now?
We might get some heat because we're going to be focusing on 1992 quite a bit in this video.
Yeah.
And this is the very tail end of the golden era. 92 was an awesome year for wrestling in the WWF. And we're going to talk about the 1992 Royal Rumble.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, now what was special about this one?
Okay.
I've heard it being said that it's the best Rumble ever. Is that true?
It might be.
Okay.
It might be.
Okay.
It's my favorite. First of all, the names that were in this match. I mean, you had great wrestlers like the British Bulldog and Hogan, Sid Justice. So you had all these great names that made an appearance in the 1992 Royal Rumble. And one thing that set it apart from other Royal Rumbles is that this was actually for the World Heavyweight Championship, or the WWF Championship, I should say. And they did call it that at the time. Okay, I saw some stuff about the match. I don't know how true this is. According to legend, Bobby Heenan suggested having Ric Flair come in at number 1. Ric Flair has stated that he thinks that they wanted him to come early into the match so that he could show off his ability to, his physical conditioning to keep going. I mean, this is the guy that wrestled, these long matches in the NWA. So the guy could go forever, okay? At this point in time, they've never had a guy, I mean, you would have it happen later, but you never had a guy start off the match early and then win it, okay? Apparently, Vince McMahon stole Bobby Heenan's idea and said, I want to have him come in at number 3, and didn't give Bobby Heenan credit for it. Ric Flair comes in at number 3. They say several times during the match that nobody that's come in through like 1 through 5 has ever won a Royal Rumble. Notably, they brought up statistics, so when the wrestlers would come in, they would bring up, who lasted the longest. I think at this time, before the 92 Royal Rumble, Rick Martel had the longest time in the Royal Rumble. It was just great wrestlers that appeared in this Rumble. And Ric Flair just gets the crap beat out of him for the whole match. He's just getting beat up, okay? And he just keeps going and going and going, okay? Hogan, he had an ego. He couldn't let it be a clean elimination for him. They had this thing at the end of the match. Last three were Sid Justice. I can't call him Sid Justice. He's Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious, Hogan, and Flair. Vicious gets eliminated and contributes to Hogan getting eliminated by Flair, and Flair becomes WWF champion. This is notable. I read that Flair did not know until he showed up at the arena that he was winning the Royal Rumble. This victory by Flair is special because you had basically an NWA guy, a Jim Crockett guy, come into the WWF and win their championship. I don't know why Vince did it. I guess he really believed in Flair because Vince was not the type of guy to give the NWA guys much of a chance. I mean, look at what he did to Dusty Rhodes. It was humiliating. I know Dusty Rhodes didn't care. He was drawing a paycheck, but it just wasn't good. And then Flair comes in and becomes WWF champion. It's a notable Royal Rumble for all the right reasons. Had some great names. I mean, like I said, you had Bulldog, Barbarian. I mean, just a bunch of names. They had feuds that were taking place in the match that were being continued. Also, there was another thing that was interesting too. Savage leaped over the top rope, and they didn't count that as a self-elimination.
I guess I missed that somehow.
Yeah.
He leaped over the top rope, hit the floor, and he didn't get counted out.
Yeah.
So was it a rule at the time that you had to be forced over by an opponent to be eliminated?
To be honest with you, they were probably making the stuff up as they went.
Well, this was probably only, the fourth or fifth Rumble ever?
Well, the first one you had...
that was in 88, wasn't it?
Or
am I thinking of something else?
I think it was 88, yeah.
Yeah. I might be thinking of Survivor Series. I don't know.
Yeah, it was an early Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Okay. Next match. Oh, this is a good one. This is a personal favorite of mine. WrestleMania 8, also in 1992, Roddy Piper versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Prior to this, here's the story. Piper won the Intercontinental title. Bret wanted his match to reclaim the belt that he lost. Due to, he had an illness and everything. Piper was a face at the time and at first refused to fight Hart because of the respect he had for his family and all that kind of stuff. He was doing the face thing, and Bret was persistent with it. And, Piper was like, you know what? I'm going to destroy you. Piper, he becomes the heel, but he hasn't done anything really dastardly yet, okay? But this feud gets really heated. The match, it's a blend of brawling and technical wrestling, which wasn't Piper's normal thing, but he was able to hang with the Hitman. So that says a lot, to hang with Bret the Hitman Hart and some technical wrestling. But the match got really heated. Bret Hart got busted open. And by the way, that's very rare for Bret Hart. I can't think of too many matches where Bret Hart had intentional color. So this is a rare thing for Bret Hart. Referee gets knocked out. Piper grabs the bell. He's thinking about hitting Bret Hart. He's looking out the fans. He's having second thoughts about it. Bobby Heenan's on commentary urging him to hit him in the head with a bell. What the hell used the bell?
What the hell used the bell?
Piper tosses the bell aside, puts Hart in his finisher, the sleeper. Hart does this maneuver where he kicks off the corner, flips backwards onto Piper for the pin. 1, 2, 3. The match is over. Bret Hart has regained the Intercontinental Championship. Notable for the fact that, one, you had Piper in the match, who was a big star throughout the whole Golden Era. I mean, he was in the main event of the first WrestleMania. You had Piper losing by pinfall. If there was a guy that protected himself more than Hogan, it was Roddy Piper. This guy refused to lose. That's part of why you never see him with championships, because he refused to lose. He did the job for Bret Hart. Bret Hart is early in his career, okay? He hasn't become a world champion, WWF champion yet. Piper, his career is winding down. Like I said, he can hang in the ring. He's still, he's not like in WCW wrestling with hip replacements and stuff. He's, not at the peak of his career. He's had a long career. He does does the job for Bret Hart, puts him over. It was really the only time that I can think of that Piper passed the torch in the WWF. It told a story. I mean, the facial expressions. I mean, like Bret Hart's just bleeding all over the place. And Piper has the bell, and he's thinking about walloping with the bell, ending the match. And he's, going back to his old self. And then he decides not to, and his decision to not be his old self winds up causing him to lose the match and lose the belt. Great. I mean, it just gives me chill bumps thinking about it. It was an awesome match. So, the next match. We couldn't not pick this match. I don't know if it was the best match of all time, but it may be my favorite match of all time. But, if it ain't the best match of all time, the best match of all time still would involve Steamboat because it'd be against Ric Flair, one of his Ric Flair matches. I mean, what can I say about this match? I read something on Facebook, and I don't know if Hogan actually said this, but it sounds like some BS Hogan would say. But he said that when he was back in the WWF or the WWE, that he was told by Vince McMahon that things are done differently now and not everything is called in the ring like it used to be, which I'm thinking like they still call it in the ring. I don't know what that is. Hogan's a liar. Hogan, he thought he was a better wrestler for calling things in the ring and not planning everything out because you can react to the fans or whatever. That was the whole point of what he was saying. This match was completely planned, which wasn't standard procedure back then. It's not even standard procedure now. Okay, you might have a few high spots that are called. Savage's his OCD completely just took control of him. Okay, and if you think about it, Savage had those great series of matches against DDP, who was another guy who really liked to plan out his matches. Right. So those two guys were like made for each other. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Savage, convinced Steamboat, I want to do this. Steamboat, he's so good he can do it one way or the other. He could plan it out or call it in the ring. It don't matter to Steamboat. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time. I don't know who to choose from between him, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair. I mean, it's just, and probably AJ Styles between those four. They wrote everything down move for move. They practiced this match for months in advance. They wrote it down on those yellow, like move number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one of those yellow
legal
notepads. Yeah, the legal pads.
Yeah.
And then they would quiz each other. They would say, okay, what's the move after move number 58? And Savage would say, it's a Japanese arm drag or something, which I don't think it was any Japanese arm drag. It was arm drags, but not Japanese arm drag. I'm just giving it an example. And they wrestle a perfect match. Flawless. See, my thing is, if I planned something that meticulously, I would probably screw up because I would get nervous about the expectation to follow the match meticulously. Yeah. Things go wrong. Nothing went wrong in this match. Nothing. Everything was beautiful. Everything was executed wonderfully. And you also had this side story where you had George the Animal Steel was protective over Elizabeth, didn't like the way Savage treated her. Probably not a storyline you'd see nowadays, but in the 80s, this was pretty good. That was going along, within this match. I forgot how many pinfalls are in this match. I saw a statistic one time, but it was tons and tons of near counts, near finishes. You see guys today mimicking this match. It set the standard. It set the bar. I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about this match, man.